So what would you do if you had, say, $1,000 you wanted to put into silver, or even more, $3,500 you wanted to put into gold? Or let's say you're a big baller with $35,000 to invest in precious metals. What would you put it in? Well, today we are going to ask that and more to a coin dealer. Now, guys, listen, I know coin dealers are biased. They have an interest in selling gold and silver. So the question we're going to ask isn't, should you buy gold and silver? We already know what a coin dealer is going to say to that. The question will be, we're already going to buy it. What should we buy? So let's hear what he has to say, because today we're going to be joined by a coin dealer named Keith from Coin Crew, and he's going to tell us not only that, but a lot more about gold and silver stacking that would be good information not just for new stackers, but for seasoned stackers as well. So here we go with Keith from the Coin Crew. Let's do it. My channel is sponsored by SDBullion.com. New customers can get their first order of gold or silver at spot by going to SDBullion.com/new. Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we are joined by a coin dealer. His name is Keith from the Coin Crew. Keith, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good, Seeker. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you're here because today we have a really good topic to talk about. You know, on my channel, especially when talking about silver, I get comments from new people all the time. And by new people, I mean new silver stackers. They'll say, I only started a year ago, or I'm just getting started in the stacking, or whatever it may be. And I wanted to maybe get some advice, not only necessarily for new stackers, but also for seasoned stackers from someone who's been in it as long as you have, not only as a dealer, but also as a stacker yourself. And let's start with some background. So Keith, where did you get started in stacking silver? How long ago was it, and what got you into it?
Well, as you know, I've been in the business for well over 50 years. However, as far as stacking, I really didn't stack. I mean, in the sense of how people, look at it. I started that about the same time I started YouTube, 2020.
So you were a coin dealer for over 50 years, but you weren't stacking until 5 years ago. Is there a reason for that?
I was doing more of the collecting. I had higher grade Morgan dollars, peace dollars, Walker halves. I was a collector, and I favor collecting over stacking.
Okay, so what made you favor collecting over stacking? Was it because, back in your day, before electricity, silver was, very cheap? Or I'm just kidding. But seriously, what made you favor what made you favor stacking over or collecting over stacking back then?
The reason I favored collecting is there's history behind it. Who held this coin? And silver and gold wasn't really favorable in the mainstream. It wasn't expensive. People just didn't stack that much of it. I mean, there's been so many times I'm looking back and I'm like, man, I could have bought silver at 25% under spot and I passed. That's crazy. I mean, anybody today thinking, why did you pass? Well, when silver was $3.50 an ounce, you couldn't sell it. Nobody wanted to buy it. And the collectible coins have such beauty to them.
So nobody wanted to buy it. When silver was $3.50, you couldn't sell it? Like, you were a dealer back then, so you were selling silver, right?
Yeah, that was around the turn of the century, probably around 2001 through 4, somewhere in there. Yeah, I actually made a video on someone else's channel saying how I passed on 1,000 ounces of silver at 75 cents back a spot at the time.
Wow, so that would have been like in the $2 an ounce range?
Silver was around four and a quarter, and I passed at 350.
Wow, man, I if I could get silver for 350 today, I'd buy as much as I could.
I know, right? I would buy it for 32, 33 right now.
For sure. So I guess let me ask you this then. Silver in 2020, I mean, this was obviously pandemic time when it had dipped. What made you start stacking then? Because even when it dipped during the pandemic, obviously we know you couldn't buy it for that, but that seemed to be your trigger year. So what made you start stacking in 2020? What got you into it?
Actually, it was before the dip. The dip was towards the end of the year. I started stacking about mid-year, right about the same time I started YouTube.
So do you mean 2019 then? Because the dip for COVID was earlier in the year, like March 2020.
I don't know, but I started YouTube in July 2020. And I started stacking within 30 days after that. And yeah, that's what happened. It wasn't a matter of the silver or gold being cheaper at the time. I was more open. When you do YouTube, start making content or even start watching the coin collecting channels, the coin stacking channels, it opens your eyes, it opens your mind to, hey, there's something else. There's even more beauty to just stacking than just stacking.
That's fair. So when you got into stacking, what type of silver did you start stacking? Did you go for generics? Were you buying collectibles? Were you doing both?
I was doing a mix of both. I did go for volume, but I also went for higher quality coins. I was even buying stuff from the mint. I bought, I don't know exactly where it's at. I have one of them 2021 Liberty 1 ounce gold Mustangs. Those have been considerably increased in price since they came out.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Since you got into it in 2020 then, what percentage would you say you are now stacking versus just putting into collectibles like, Nice Morgans and stuff like that?
I hate to say it being a collector, but I would have to say north of 60% stacking versus 40% collecting.
Okay, and that's not just silver. You do gold as well.
Yes, that's silver or gold. It's a mix.
Okay, that's fair. Do you favor silver over gold or vice versa, or is it 50-50 for you?
Well, for me, it's more of I wouldn't say a storage thing. It's more of a value for the item thing. So I would have to say gold, because if being a dealer, I have that buy sale mentality, but being a collector, I have a space issue. But the truth of the matter is I got an ounce of gold here, and I got to lug 100 ounces of silver here, which is easier to pick up and run to a show with or run to another coin shop with.
Okay, so it's not space, it's more weight is what you're saying is the issue. So if you have too much silver, the weight just becomes like a problem?
Yeah, the weight does, especially, I'm going to be 58 soon. So the weight is starting to become an issue with my old self here. I mean, I'm not no spring chicken, but I'm not ancient either.
I know. And guys, just so you know, I made the joke earlier. We're friends. I like to quip at him every once in a while.
Dude, I still run around with candles.
Well, Keith, I'm just going to be, you said at the turn of the century. I'm glad you clarified which century it is. When you passed up on that deal. Sorry.
The turn of the century.
Yeah.
But no, it's all fun. When it comes to collecting, and I just favor that because I guess you could say you never know who held that coin, the artistic work behind the coins. Now, when it goes to stacking, it's starting to show there now. And that is why I buy some of the premium silver or premium gold.
No, that makes sense. So from my side, and many of my viewers know this, I have a 1798 large eagle silver dollar. And, I think about, and granted, I understand the chances are pretty slim, and there's no way I'll never know though, but it's possible some of our founding fathers held that coin. You know what I mean? So
that could have been a George Washington held coin.
Well, he died like pretty soon after that coin was minted, but
in 1799.
Right.
Yeah.
But I guess the possibility exists. But my point is, having a coin like that, even though there's no way we'll ever know, that's impossible to know who actually held, my silver dollar. It's cool to think that the possibility exists that one of these early American coins was held by, someone like that. It is cool. So I get it. I get the lure or, the allure to that.
Now not to kind of get off the subject of stacking, but to go to the subject of collecting, PCGS, NGC, Annex, they all come around. Annex was in the 70s and PCGS, NGC came around in the 80s. And you're saying there's no way to find out. But there are coins out there with pedigrees, and those pedigrees can be traced to who owns them. And that's the beautiful thing about a certified coin. If it's a good enough coin, it gets tracked who owned it, like the Buddy Epson collection, stuff like that.
Well, mine's not good enough. It is PCGS certified. It's VF20. So it's a nice coin. It's just, there's no way to, track the history of mine specifically is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. It's usually with more expensive coins that there's a history tracking. But the barcode on these coins allows you to track, since they've been certified, who possibly had it. And that's usually on the better coins.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get back to stacking because, we have a lot of new stackers, as I said at the beginning of this video. And, I would like to get from somebody who's not only a stacker, but also a dealer himself, some tips for new stackers. Now, guys, obviously, Keith, as he will admit, we're not trying to hide anything. He's a dealer. So obviously, his interest in silver is biased to the fact that it's also how he makes his living. Mine is as well as a YouTuber. But still, I think, from a dealer, it'd be nice to get some perspective of where somebody should start. So if somebody, Keith, had, let's say, $1,000 to invest in silver right now, or gold if you want to get into it, but we'll start with silver, what would you do with it? Where would you go? What type of silver would you get? 90% rounds, eagles? Go ahead.
Well, $1,000 isn't a lot of money in the world today, but it is a significant amount to quite a few people. So if I was to take and say, buy silver, nothing but silver, we'll do gold in a minute. If I was to buy nothing but silver, and I'm not trying to be biased here, as he said, because I am a stacker, I'm a collector, and I am a coin dealer. And I honestly, doesn't make a difference to me if you buy from me or buy from someone else. My thoughts on the matter is I think because the price of silver will go up over the long term, might be good to buy some fractional silver, and I recommend constitutional over pure 1/10 ounce rounds. And the reason why that is, sometimes you can pay twice the premium. Like if it's $3.30, you could be paying $6.60 for 1/10 ounce of silver. Whereas with a silver dime, it takes about 14.5 dimes to make it, whereas you might get it exactly or close to melt. So I would recommend taking over 50% of that 1,000, buying 90%, mix it up, dimes, quarters, halves. The other 50%, I would buy generic rounds. A lot of you are probably saying, why not silver eagles? You're just getting started. You want to buy the silver as low as you can or as close as you can to melt. So generic rounds, 90%. Let's go into gold.
Well, hold on. Before we get into gold, just to kind of clarify, what you're saying is they should be able to get the most, or they should try and get the most silver they can for their money.
Yes, they should try to get the most silver they can. I recommend buying stuff you understand. If you don't understand it, you're going to lose money. Stay away from 0.56 pure silver. 90% simple. There's lots of videos, lots of formulas for you to see.
Okay, fair enough. So getting into gold, let's change up the parameters just a little bit, because $1,000 in gold, I mean, there's really not a whole lot you can do. Even 1 gram bars today are like $125. So let's say you have $3,500, just enough to buy a full 1 ounce coin. Should you buy the 1 ounce coin? Should you get fractional? Well, what do you think?
Okay, as you said, let's pump it up to a 3,500, which affords a 1 ounce coin. I still wouldn't buy 1 ounce of gold. Even though I favor gold, I've been in it a little bit longer, so that affords me that luxury, so to speak. Because of the price of gold just keeps going up, what's happening is you are limiting buying opportunities for someone else. You're cutting your buyer pool, so to speak. So what I recommend for gold, I don't normally recommend bars, but in this case, I recommend 1 gram gold bars carded, not the breakaway Valcambis, because they're easy to get lost. The carded grams allow you to keep track of your gold easier.
So let me ask you, with the 1 gram bars I had just mentioned, it's like $125 or so to get one of those. So that's a pretty significant premium. Is that something they should be concerned with, when buying that gold?
Well, when you're looking at the gold premiums, yes, premiums are always a concern, but I think it's more of a concern. Am I going to be able to sell it later down the line? When gold gets to $10,000, how many people out of 100 can afford it?
So that's what you meant when you said you're kind of limiting the pool of buyers. So what you meant was, if you bought a 1 ounce coin, when they go to sell it later, they're going to have a limited pool of buyers because the value is so high on just one.
That is correct. And that's why I recommend 1 gram gold bars. Now, I've got a customer that's been coming in for decades. He buys nothing larger than a 1/4 ounce, and he's not even buying those now. He bought 10th ounces, grams, and 1/4 ounces. He would buy an occasional ounce just to have an example, but he had that thought of gold will someday be so high priced that there won't be enough people that can afford it. So he's bought all this small gold, and when he started, that gold was only $500 an ounce.
Oh,
and he had that ideal at $500.
Just like silver at $3.50, I'd buy as much as I can at $500 an ounce. I mean, I'd go broke.
Yeah.
You'd see me living on a street, and then there'd be a hole somewhere with all my gold in it. So,
or we could dig you a hole in the street, and we can throw all your gold and silver in there, and We just plop you in there and you can swim around like Scrooge McDuck.
There you go. Well, gold, as Peter from Family Guy figured out, is a very hard metal. It's not liquid. So anyway.
That's a play on the word liquid cash, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's a clip. We're not going to get into it here. So, all right, Keith. So, should people be concerned, because of the premium on 1 gram gold bars, of if they were to have to turn around later down the line and go and sell those 1 gram gold bars back to a shop, they're not going to get anywhere near all that premium back. I mean, let me ask you this, and just be honest. If you were to sell a 1 gram gold bar today, what would you sell it for? And then if you had to buy one, what would you pay?
I would pay $5 over melt for a 1 gram carded gold bar.
Okay.
I would sell it for about 15, maybe 20, depending on what brand it is, over melt.
Okay. So doing quick math in my head, there's 31 grams to an ounce. So if the spread difference was $10, that's about $310 per ounce. And if it's $15, that's about $460 per ounce. Spread that they're going to lose if they were to buy and sell at the same spot price. Obviously, the intent is to hold gold for a long time. You don't buy it and then turn around and sell it at the same price. But
no, that's counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Don't never sell something the same day you bought it at the same price, because you're not going to make money. People have to pay their bills.
Yeah, absolutely. So go ahead.
I think they will lose the premium, but how much premium are you going to lose if someone can't afford it? Let's say gold is $10,000 and you've cut your buyer pool off. Okay, now you got those that do have the money. What are they going to pay? They know they don't have a lot of competition to buy it. Are they going to pay you 90%, 95%? Or are they going to be some of these guys mail in your gold and only want to pay you 80%? That's the problem you could face if gold gets too high, having only 1 ounce coins. Having variety is the key.
Fair enough. So if somebody were to say invest a lot of money, let's bump it up to 35 grand. At that point, would you say get some 1 ounces along with the fractional?
If you have a lot of money to invest, it wouldn't hurt to buy some of the lower premium gold. It's definitely the way to go if you can't afford it. But you still have to remember the number of buyers you're going to have when you go to sell it.
That makes sense. All right, Keith. Well, any tips or advice you would give to new stackers that maybe you wouldn't cover today? What to avoid, what to look out for, let's say going into a coin shop, if, something they should make sure that doesn't happen to them, testing it to make sure it's real, whatever. Just give us some advice.
Talk to a bunch of different coin shops, not just one, or a bunch of different dealers. If you know people here on YouTube or at coin shows, that's great. Soak up all the information you can, because the more you understand it, the better you will be at collecting and stacking. Try to deal with people who have equipment to test your gold to avoid buying fake gold. But what I do recommend is keep the number of people you buy from. Don't go buy from everybody under the sun. Keep the number of people you buy from, or at least at a bare minimum, keep track of what you bought from who. So if there is an issue later down the line, you can have it corrected.
Totally fair. So you actually mentioned a coin show. That's something I didn't think about bringing up. First off, we're going to be at a coin show next week together at the Tulsa Coin Show. Yeah. Tulsa, Oklahoma, guys, if you're interested, and no, I'm not sponsored by them, but I'm going to be there. So I like telling people to come out there and meet us. TulsaCoinshow.com. It's literally a week from today as we're recording this, or a week and a day from today. So hope to see you guys out there. But getting into the coin show, Keith, what about like stackers going to the coin show? So you have a lot of dealers, so a lot of competition. Does that maybe mean that you can find better deals on the floor because, one dealer's trying to have the lowest price over everyone else?
You're always going to have that one guy that wants to undersell everybody. I mean, we have I guess you could say, kind of a fixed pricing. We go by what wholesalers are selling it for at the time, and then we mark it up at a fair margin to us according to our bills. But there's always going to be that one guy that doesn't buy off wholesalers, and he's going to just give you some rock bottom price. But if you want to use that one guy who's selling dirt dog cheap, the odds are he may not be able to keep you supplied because he can't buy it back half the time at what he's selling it for.
But it's still an opportunity to buy some silver cheaper, though, for like a one-off if you just
if you're doing just a little bit of business, yeah. it's good. But if you're looking to find somebody to supply you for the years down the line, find you somebody, and he could be at a coin show. Find you somebody that's reputable. Find you somebody that is trustworthy. I think trust is more important than the best price.
I like that. I like that. And there are people that echo that, sentiment in some of my video comments where they say, yeah, I might pay a little bit more here and there, but, I trust this dealer. I've been working with them for a long time. Or they just like supporting local businesses that are near them, and they may pay a little bit more than they do online, but they're okay with that because they're supporting local business. So I get it.
I when I buy wholesale, everything I buy on the wholesale market, I've dealt with these people for years. I don't normally, I may occasionally, but I don't go make orders ever with somebody that I haven't dealt with for years because it's a trust issue. Now, like I said, occasionally I may buy something from somebody who's not a normal distributor, but I'm not going to continually make orders from him week after week or month after month after year. Trust is, it's a big factor when buying and selling precious metals.
Absolutely. Trust is a big thing. So, Keith, I really appreciate it. I'm going to say it one more time because I'm going to be there. I'm excited about it. Tulsa Coin Show. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have a lot of people there, aren't we? We got the U.S. Mint. NGC is now was going to be there, then wasn't going to be there, and now they're going to be there again, right?
Yeah, they're going to be there again. Not that you was throwing me under the bus or anything, but I'm going to be there too.
Oh yeah, well, no one cares about that. But I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But yeah, it's going to be cool. So I'll be there. Rob Finds Treasure will be there. Raven will be there. You'll be there. A bunch of other YouTube people will be there as well as the U.S. Mint and coin grading companies. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to being there. I'm looking forward to meeting people, and I'm sure Keith is as well.
It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, it is. Very cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Keith, thank you for joining us. Guys, if you didn't know this, Keith has his own coin shop in Muskegon, Michigan called The Coin Zone, and his own YouTube channel right here on YouTube called Coin Crew. I will put a link for that down below. Keith, I really look forward to having you back again.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime.
Have a great day.
You too.